Did you know? By the age of 70, our bodies have silently lost nearly 40% of their muscle mass, even if we're eating well and not noticing any major changes. And have you ever felt climbing stairs is a bit harder than it used to be? Carrying grocery bags leaves your arms more tired? Or simply standing up from a chair takes just a little more effort? If so, you're not alone. Our muscles are quietly retreating, a process called sarcopenia that very few people truly understand. I once watched my father, a strong man who had worked in the garden his whole life, suddenly unable to stand without holding on to something. Not because he was sick. Not because he was inactive. But simply because his body was missing small but essential nutrients needed to maintain strength. I eat just fine. Why am I getting weaker so fast? He asked. That question led me to dig deeper, and what I found shocked me. Up to 78% of older adults are lacking a critical nutrient, and most don't even know it. This video isn't just about nutrition. It's a journey, from uncovering a harsh truth to discovering simple, natural, and powerful solutions. A journey to help you, or someone you love, preserve muscle, independence, and dignity as you move through your 60s, 70s, and even 80s. Up next, you'll discover 10 hidden factors that are quietly stealing your strength, and how to fight back, one step at a time. I promise you won't just learn something, you'll feel hopeful again. Let's begin this journey together, before it's too late. The silent muscle thief: why 70-year-olds lose up to 40% of muscle mass without noticing. It doesn't happen overnight. You don't wake up one day and say, "Oh no, I've lost a third of my strength." Instead, it sneaks in quietly, like dust collecting in the corners of your home. Barely noticeable at first, until one day, it's everywhere. This process has a name: sarcopenia. It simply means loss of flesh. But it's far more serious than it sounds. By the time you hit 70, it's not unusual to have lost 30 to 40% of your muscle mass, even if you're not bedridden, even if you eat 3 meals a day. Here's the thing. Muscle loss isn't just about looking fit or toned. Muscle is your engine. It keeps you stable when you walk, helps you rise from a chair, lets you carry your grandkids, or even just balance when you trip. I remember visiting my Aunt Linda a few years ago. She was 74 then, always full of life, loved tending to her flowers, dancing at family weddings. But that day, she seemed tired, a little slower. She laughed it off. "I'm just getting older," she said. But when I helped her stand up, I noticed she leaned heavily on my arm. That wasn't like her. 2 months later, she fell in her kitchen. It wasn't a bad fall, but it shook her confidence. From that moment on, she started avoiding stairs. Then gardening. Then dancing. And just like that, her world became smaller. Later, her doctor mentioned something that stuck with me. She didn't fall because she got old. She fell because she got weak. That was the moment I realized, aging doesn't have to mean losing strength. What really happens is that most of us are never taught how to protect our muscles as we age. We assume it's inevitable. But it's not. And here's the truth no one talks about. Your muscles don't just vanish because of age. They vanish because they're not being fed what they need. So in the next part of this video, let's uncover one of the most overlooked nutrients that plays a surprisingly powerful role in keeping your muscles strong and your balance steady. It's one that almost half of older Americans are missing, especially if they live in colder climates or spend most of their time indoors. Let's talk about vitamin D. How vitamin D can help you stay on your feet, literally. When we think about vitamin D, most of us picture strong bones or maybe getting some sun on a nice afternoon. But what many people don't realize is that vitamin D plays a crucial role in something far more immediate: your ability to stay upright. That's right, vitamin D is one of the unsung heroes of muscle strength and balance. Here's how it works. Your muscles are full of tiny receptors that need vitamin D to function. Without it, your muscles can't contract properly. They get sluggish. Coordination fades. You might notice it as a slight wobble on the stairs, or a hesitancy when stepping off a curb. Now imagine this happening slowly, over years, without you even realizing it. My neighbor, Mr. Johnson, is 81. He's one of those folks you see walking every morning, slow, but steady. A few winters ago, he slipped on his driveway. It wasn't icy. He wasn't rushing. But his legs just didn't catch him in time. When they ran tests at the hospital, the doctor looked up and said, "Your vitamin D levels are barely traceable." Mr. Johnson blinked. "I've lived in California my whole life. How can I be low on sunshine?" The answer was simple, but surprising. As we age, our skin produces less vitamin D from sunlight. Even if you're outside every day, your body might not convert that light into what your muscles need. And when you're low on vitamin D, your risk of falling increases by over 20%, just because your muscles and nerves aren't speaking the same language anymore. That was a wake-up call for Mr. Johnson. He started taking a simple D3 supplement every morning. Within months, he felt steadier. He still takes his daily walks, but now, he walks with more confidence. The lesson? Sometimes the smallest things, like a tiny vitamin, can have the biggest impact. Vitamin D isn't just about preventing fractures. It's about preserving your independence. So if you've been feeling off balance, more tired than usual, or hesitant when you move, don't chalk it up to age. You might just be low on something your muscles are quietly begging for. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. Even if you're eating well, there's a hidden disconnect between what you eat and what your muscles actually use. And that leads us straight to a powerful nutrient that often goes completely unnoticed, but controls the very signals between your brain and your body. Let's talk about vitamin B12. B12 and your brain-muscle connection. What happens when the signals break down? Have you ever felt like your body wasn't quite responding the way it used to? Maybe your hands shake just a little when you pour a cup of coffee. Maybe your legs don't quite move as smoothly when you stand up, or your feet don't always go where your mind tells them to. That's not just aging. That might be a breakdown in communication between your brain and your muscles. And one of the most common culprits behind this breakdown is something deceptively simple: vitamin B12. B12 is like the insulation on a wire. It keeps the signals between your brain and your body moving fast, clean, and accurate. When B12 runs low, it's like frayed wiring. Your body might get the message, but it arrives slower, weaker, or not at all. This can lead to tremors, weakness, difficulty walking, even strange sensations in your hands and feet. But here's the tricky part. B12 deficiency doesn't hit all at once. It creeps in, often over years. And its symptoms are so subtle, many people, especially older adults, just assume it's part of getting older. Let me tell you about Margaret. Margaret is 76, retired schoolteacher, and sharp as a tack. But she started having trouble with balance. She'd occasionally forget why she walked into a room, or misplace her words mid-sentence. Her kids grew worried, wondering if this might be the start of dementia. But a blood test told a different story. Her B12 levels were very low. She'd been taking antacids for years, and like millions of other older adults, her stomach no longer absorbed B12 properly from food. Within weeks of starting a B12 supplement, just a tiny lozenge she dissolved under her tongue, her energy returned. Her balance improved. Her memory sharpened. She didn't need a nursing home. She just needed a vitamin. Margaret often says now, "I got my life back from something the size of a breath mint." The lesson? When your nerves don't fire right, your muscles can't move right. And it's not always a disease. Sometimes, it's just a quiet deficiency we overlook. So if you, or someone you love, has been feeling foggy, unsteady, or just off, don't be afraid to ask for a B12 test. It could change everything. But even when your brain and muscles are firing properly, they still need the physical support to hold everything together. Which brings us to something you might not expect. A vitamin we often associate with immune health, but that also plays a critical role in building and protecting the structure around your muscles. Let's talk about vitamin C. The forgotten antioxidant, how vitamin C keeps your muscles young. We often think of vitamin C as the go-to for colds. A glass of orange juice when you're feeling under the weather. But what if I told you this humble vitamin does much more than keep sniffles at bay? In fact, it might be one of the most underrated allies in the fight to keep your muscles strong and youthful. Here's why. Vitamin C is a critical building block for collagen, the protein that forms the scaffolding around your muscles. Think of collagen like the ropes and pulleys in a bridge. It holds things in place, supports tension, and prevents sagging or tearing. Without enough vitamin C, those support structures begin to weaken. Your muscles aren't just softer, they're less stable. They become more vulnerable to strain, fatigue, and even injury. But that's only half the story. Vitamin C is also one of the body's most powerful antioxidants. As we age, our muscles face daily attacks from something called free radicals, tiny unstable molecules that damage cells. Vitamin C acts like a shield, neutralizing those threats before they can break down your muscle tissue. I remember a man named Charlie. He was 69, a retired firefighter with a big smile and arms that still looked strong. But he complained that he couldn't hold his grip as long as before. Opening jars had become a struggle. His forearms would burn after light yard work. He thought it was arthritis. But after a few conversations with his doctor, they realized something surprising. Charlie's diet was low in fresh fruits and vegetables. He rarely ate citrus, never touched berries, and hadn't had a salad in weeks. He started adding just one orange a day, some bell peppers in his stir-fry, and a simple vitamin C supplement. 3 months later, he said, "I feel like I got some spring back in my arms." His grip improved. The soreness faded. He didn't need surgery or therapy, he just needed support at the cellular level. The lesson here? Sometimes what your muscles need most isn't more effort, it's better protection. And vitamin C quietly provides that, day after day. Plus, vitamin C helps your body make carnitine, which turns fat into energy. So even your muscle stamina depends, in part, on this forgotten vitamin. And here's something else worth knowing. Vitamin C can't be stored in the body for long. You need to get it every single day, either through food or a reliable supplement. Now, you might be thinking, okay, I'm getting the nutrients. I'm protecting my muscles. But why do they still feel tight? Why the cramps and spasms? That's not just about strength or structure. That's about how your muscles contract and relax, and for that, we need to talk about something even more essential. Let's explore the quiet powerhouse behind muscle movement, magnesium. The anti-stiffness mineral, why magnesium is a game changer after 60. You know that feeling when your legs cramp in the middle of the night? Or when your back feels stiff for no reason, even though you didn't do anything strenuous? Sometimes it's easy to brush it off as just getting older. But more often than not, there's a silent reason behind those aches, cramps, and muscle tightness. And its name is magnesium. Magnesium is one of the most important minerals in your body, especially for muscles. It works like a natural relaxer, helping your muscles release after they contract. Without enough magnesium, muscles can stay partially on, leading to tightness, tension, and those sudden spasms that jolt you out of sleep. But that's not all. Magnesium is also vital for making ATP, your body's main source of energy. And muscles are energy hungry. If you're low on magnesium, they get tired faster. Tasks like walking upstairs, carrying groceries, or even just standing for a long time can start to feel exhausting. Let me tell you about Carl. Carl is 72 and used to be a carpenter. His hands had built homes, fixed fences, and crafted beautiful furniture. But in recent years, he'd started waking up with hand cramps. He joked, "My fingers feel like they're holding onto a hammer that isn't there." His doctor ran some tests, and sure enough, Carl was magnesium deficient. Why? Well, like many older adults, Carl was on a few medications, blood pressure pills and a diuretic. What he didn't know was that those meds were quietly draining his magnesium every day. He switched to a magnesium glycinate supplement, gentle on the stomach, easy to absorb, and started adding more leafy greens, nuts, and beans to his meals. Within a few weeks, the cramps eased. More importantly, he felt less stiff. He told me, "I feel like oil got poured into my joints." Here's the truth. Over 60% of people over 60 don't get enough magnesium. And many of them don't even know it. They just think they're stiff, or sore, or slowing down. But what they really are, is undersupported. The lesson? Sometimes, stiffness isn't a sign of aging, it's a sign of depletion. And magnesium helps refill the tank. So we've talked about nutrients that help muscles contract, relax, grow, and recover. But what about the energy factories inside your muscles, the tiny engines that keep everything running? Well, there's one compound that powers over 95% of your body's energy, and yet, hardly anyone talks about it, especially with older adults. Let's uncover the quiet power of CoQ10. CoQ10, the mitochondria booster that your statin might be destroying. Every muscle in your body, from your biceps to your heart, runs on energy. And that energy is made deep inside your cells, in tiny power plants called mitochondria. But what fuels those power plants? One of the most important compounds is something called coenzyme Q10, or CoQ10 for short. You may not have heard much about it, but your muscles know it well. CoQ10 is what helps mitochondria create ATP, the pure energy your body uses to move, lift, breathe, and even just sit upright. And here's the problem. As we age, our natural levels of CoQ10 drop significantly, some studies say by as much as 65% after age 60. That's already a big deal for energy. But there's something else that makes this worse. Statin medications, commonly prescribed to lower cholesterol, also deplete CoQ10 in the body. Let me tell you about Rosa. Rosa is 68, a retired librarian, and one of the most active women I know. She walked every morning, gardened in the afternoons, and loved dancing with her husband in the kitchen. But after starting a statin for high cholesterol, she began to feel drained. "I just don't feel like myself anymore," she told me. "Even standing for long periods makes my legs ache." She assumed it was just part of aging. But her doctor knew better, and suggested a simple CoQ10 supplement. Within 2 weeks, Rosa felt a difference. Within a month, she was back to her evening walks. "I didn't realize how low my energy had gotten," she said. "It was like someone plugged me back in." And she's not alone. Over 60% of statin users report muscle pain, weakness, or fatigue, many of which are linked to low CoQ10 levels. The good news is, supplementing with CoQ10, especially in its active form called ubiquinol, can help restore that energy. The lesson here? When your energy disappears, it's not always because you're getting older. Sometimes, it's because your body's natural battery just needs a recharge. So if you, or a loved one, are taking statins and feeling more tired than usual, it might be time to ask about CoQ10. Now, we've talked a lot about supporting the muscles, protecting them, fueling them. But what if we could build them back up, even after age 60? It turns out, there's one natural compound that can help rebuild muscle, restore strength, and even sharpen the brain. It's not a vitamin. It's not a mineral. It's something often overlooked, but incredibly powerful. Let's talk about creatine. Creatine after 60, not just for bodybuilders anymore. When you hear the word creatine, you probably picture a 25-year-old in the gym, chugging a protein shake and lifting heavy weights. And yes, creatine is popular with athletes. But what if I told you it might be even more important for someone in their 60s or 70s than for someone in their 20s? Here's why. Creatine helps your muscles produce energy quickly, especially during short bursts of effort. Things like standing up from a chair, climbing stairs, catching yourself when you trip. All of these actions rely on fast energy. And creatine is what fuels that. But that's just the beginning. As we age, we lose something called satellite cells, the special cells that help repair and rebuild muscle. Creatine has been shown to reactivate those cells. That means it not only gives your muscles energy, it helps them grow stronger again. Let me introduce you to Frank. Frank is 73. He's a retired mailman, a widower, and proud grandfather of 5. Last year, he started noticing that carrying his grandkids was getting harder. He hated that. Not because of pride, but because it felt like he was losing connection with them. At the advice of his physical therapist, Frank started a very simple routine. A few light resistance exercises, twice a week. And 3 grams of creatine a day. 3 months later, he wasn't just stronger, he was more confident. He could pick up his grandkids again. He could walk longer distances. He smiled more. Frank told me, I thought I was just getting older. But turns out, I was just missing a few tools. And he's not alone. Studies have shown that older adults who take creatine, even without intense workouts, can gain muscle strength, lean mass, and better balance in just 8 to 12 weeks. No loading phase. No fancy powders. Just a small scoop each day. The lesson? You're never too old to rebuild. Your muscles haven't given up on you, you just need to give them what they've been waiting for. Now, by this point, we've covered a lot of the key nutrients and compounds your body needs to stay strong. But there's one more piece of the puzzle we haven't talked about yet. It's not about what you take, but what your body can actually absorb. Because even if you're eating well and supplementing right, it might not matter if your digestive system isn't doing its job. Let's talk about how aging affects nutrient absorption, and what you can do about it. Muscle loss isn't just about food, how digestion declines with age. We often think, I'm eating well, so I must be getting what I need. But here's something few people talk about: as we age, it's not just what you eat, it's what your body can actually absorb. Digestion is like a delivery system. You can eat the best food in the world, but if your stomach and intestines aren't breaking it down and sending the nutrients where they're needed, your muscles might still be starving. Starting around age 50, several quiet changes begin to happen inside the gut. Stomach acid decreases, making it harder to break down protein and release key vitamins like B12, iron, and magnesium. Enzyme production slows, so fats and complex nutrients don't get absorbed as efficiently. And in many people, especially those on medications like antacids or proton pump inhibitors, the gut becomes less effective at doing its job. That brings me to Edna. Edna is 79. She eats well, lots of vegetables, fish twice a week, even makes her own bone broth. But she kept losing weight, especially around her arms and legs. She felt tired, and simple tasks like folding laundry felt harder. After a nutritionist ran a few tests, the problem became clear. Edna wasn't absorbing protein properly. Her digestive system wasn't breaking it down the way it used to. So they made a few small changes. A gentle digestive enzyme before lunch and dinner. A daily probiotic to help restore gut balance. And a simple protein shake with pre-digested amino acids, easier for her body to handle. Within 2 months, Edna felt stronger. Her energy came back. And her arms? They don't feel like noodles anymore, she laughed. The lesson? It's not just about eating more, it's about absorbing better. You may be feeding your body, but if your gut isn't working well, your muscles are still going hungry. That's why, especially after 60, it's important to support digestion, not just nutrition. Sometimes, a little help from enzymes, fermented foods, or gut-friendly supplements can make all the difference. So far, we've talked about the hidden forces that slowly drain your muscle health. But how do you know it's actually happening to you? What if there were small signs, right in front of you, that your muscles are beginning to weaken, even before you feel bold? In the next part, let's go through a simple, eye-opening checklist together. 8 early warning signs of muscle loss, and what to do if you notice them. Your daily checklist, signs you might be losing muscle, and not know it. Most of us think muscle loss is something obvious, like not being able to lift a heavy box or run across the street. But the truth is, it often starts with much smaller signs. Little things you might not pay attention to, until one day, they add up. So how do you know if it's happening to you? Here's a simple checklist. Take a moment, be honest with yourself, and see how many of these sound familiar. 1. Climbing stairs feels harder than it used to. 2. You struggle to rise from a low chair or the couch without using your hands. 3. Carrying groceries or lifting light objects tires you out more than it should. 4. Your balance feels off, especially when you get up too quickly. 5. You've noticed your clothes getting looser around your arms or thighs, not from weight loss, but from muscle shrinkage. 6. You walk slower, or feel like you have less bounce in your step. 7. You've fallen once, or almost fallen, in the past year. 8. You've unintentionally lost more than 5 pounds in the last 6 months. If you checked 2 or more, that could be an early sign of sarcopenia, the gradual loss of muscle mass and strength. Let me tell you about Helen. Helen is 67. She's sharp, independent, and has always been active. But over time, she found herself avoiding stairs. She started holding onto railings more. Sitting down slowly. She hadn't fallen, but she noticed she was more cautious than before. Her daughter, a physical therapist, asked her one day, "Mom, can you sit down and stand up from that chair 5 times in 30 seconds?" She couldn't, not without using her hands. That small test, a simple sit-to-stand challenge, was a wake-up call. Helen didn't need fancy equipment. She didn't need to go to the gym. She just needed to notice, and then act. With light resistance training, better nutrition, and some of the nutrients we've already talked about, vitamin D, B12, protein, creatine, Helen regained her strength. Not all at once, but little by little. And today? She plays tag with her grandkids, and wins. The lesson? Awareness is everything. Muscle loss doesn't shout. It whispers. And if you learn to listen, you can catch it early, before it limits your life. Now, what if you have noticed these signs? What can you actually do, starting this week, to begin rebuilding your strength? In the final part of this video, I'll walk you through a gentle, practical 3-month plan, designed specifically for people over 60, to help you restore muscle, boost energy, and feel more confident in your body again. Let's talk about how to turn this awareness into real, lasting change. From frail to fit, a 3-month nutritional and movement plan to rebuild strength. By now, you might be wondering. I see the signs. I understand what's missing. But, where do I start? The answer is, you don't need a gym membership. You don't need to turn your life upside down. You just need a simple plan, something realistic, gentle, and made for the body you have today, not the one you had at 25. Because here's the truth. Muscle can be rebuilt, even in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. It just needs the right building blocks, and a little encouragement. Let me share with you a 3-month plan, one that has helped hundreds of older adults not just regain strength, but regain confidence in their own bodies. Month 1, nourish and wake the muscles. Goal, fuel your body with the right nutrients and gently reintroduce movement. Nutrition focus. O. Add a high-quality protein source to each meal: eggs, beans, yogurt, fish. O. Start a vitamin D3 supplement, 1000 to 2000 IU/day. O. Add a B12 lozenge and a magnesium glycinate capsule with dinner. O. Sip a protein shake or bone broth between meals to boost amino acids. Movement focus. O. 10 to 15 minutes of daily walking, even inside the house. O. Light, sit-to-stand exercises from a chair, 5 times, twice a day. O. Gentle stretching in the morning to loosen stiffness. Tip: keep a notebook and jot down how you feel each week, not weight, just energy and ease of movement. Month 2, strengthen and stabilize. Goal: start to build strength and improve balance. Nutrition focus. O. Begin creatine monohydrate, 3-5 g/day, no loading phase needed. O. Add a small handful of nuts or seeds daily for magnesium and CoQ10. O. Drink more water, hydration improves muscle function too. Movement focus. O. Add resistance bands to your routine, simple arm and leg exercises, 3x/week. O. Practice heel-to-toe walking along a hallway to train balance. O. Try a 20-minute seated yoga or gentle Tai Chi video once a week. This is where many people begin to say, I forgot what strong felt like. Month 3, build momentum and confidence. Goal: reinforce the habit and reconnect with daily activities you enjoy. Nutrition focus. O. Stick to your core supplements: protein, D3, B12, magnesium, creatine. O. Introduce more colorful vegetables and fruits, especially citrus and greens for vitamin C. O. Support digestion with a probiotic or enzyme capsule if needed. Movement focus. O. Increase to 20 minutes walking per day, broken into short sessions. O. Lift light weights, or water bottles, 2-3x/week for arm strength. O. Practice getting off the floor safely, a skill that can save your life. Let me tell you about Daniel. Daniel is 75. After a fall last year, he lost confidence. He stopped walking outside, and little by little, his world shrank. His daughter helped him start this exact 3-month plan. Today, he doesn't just walk every day, he helps others in his building do the same. He's regained muscle, energy, and most of all, his sense of agency. He says, I thought I was fading. Turns out, I just needed a roadmap. The lesson? Strength is not reserved for the young. It belongs to anyone willing to fight for it, one small step at a time. And now, you've got the knowledge. You've got the tools. And most importantly, you've got the time, right now. So before you go, I invite you to do one more thing. Leave a comment below, share what part of this journey spoke to you most. Is it balance? Energy? Rebuilding lost muscle? Your story might just inspire someone else to begin. And if this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. We've got more coming, more ways to live fully, move freely, and age with strength and grace. Because growing older isn't about decline. It's about becoming stronger in the ways that matter most.